Did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food? Injections? It's important the entire world learns of your experience.
That's enough!
The teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
For the seeker.
Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Drift.
Roger, nice to be in orbit.
Broadcasting from the Forest Tower Studios in the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. Voices for Verity in the crazy realm of polarity. It is Wednesday, February the 28th, and the night is cold and raining still. Yes, it is raining still here in the natural state. We are getting our boats out. The schools are shutting down. It's crazy, man. But the moon is still waxing on into midnight. Fire up your chakras, sync both hemispheres of your brain together, and shoot your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight with us as we peer into the void between spirituality and science. Thanks for joining us. Now, as always, just so you know, this is a live show broadcasted on the Friends.fm and can be heard on lightingthevoid.com. TalkStream Live, TuneIn, Spreaker, iTunes, Internet Radio, Radio Guide FM, Radio Garden, and more by proxy via the Fringe FM. The TalkStream Live number, call to listen line is 701-719-3971. Even the basic of technology TalkStream Live has given us. Just in case your internet goes out, you can listen by phone. Thanks to all of you that are supporting the show, that have donated to the show, everyone that has shared, liked, subscribed, and reviewed on Facebook, iTunes, all that stuff means so much to us. And I always got to say that I love you for it. I really do. Thank you so much. If you find anything of value from the show or the Fringe FM, please send your donations to the website. It'd be much appreciated. Or another thing you can do is purchase from our advertisers and tell them that the Fringe FM sent you. That also works as well. Also, a couple of new supporters on social media. I want to give a thanks to Sean Haynes, Deanna Bales, and Sam Galipsy. Thank you all so much for following the show. I really appreciate that. All right. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the Alchemical Tech Revolution with Wayne McRoy Jr. Now, this is a topic I have touched on several times, probably beat it to death, definitely beat it into the ground, and I finally found an author to discuss this topic, thanks to our good friend Jason Lindgren from Crow 777 Radio, who's like, hey, I got a guy for you. So Jason's always cool. He's actually going to be on with me on Spaced Out Saturday this weekend. Jason Lindgren from Crow 777 Radio, also host of The Secrets of Saturn. I want to thank Nick Redfern for coming out last night, man. What a cool and knowledgeable guy he is. Talked to him a little bit after the show. That guy is just full of knowledge, you know. And I want to say something too. he did make the comment, but he's like, I bet some people think, that, Nick puts out books every 6 months and he's just shelling out books. Well, he actually explained the process of writing to me, and I don't think that, by the way. A writer's going to write. That's what he does. But sometimes he'll be working on a book and it won't come out for a long time. And they actually hold it. And sometimes even 2 books will come out at the same time because of the publishers. They hold the books. But if you actually, instead of just saying that, if you actually read any of his material, you're going to find some gems there. And also, another cool thing about Nick I want to tell you guys about, just about every one of his books, well, I'll just say a lot of them are on Audible as well. They're also, you can get them on any Audible app. So that's pretty cool. Don't forget to go to the website and sign up for the newsletter. We got a few subscribers. We're going to do another drawing this month, but I am not going to draw until I hear back from Yeg, until he's gotten his DVDs. That's a fact. And I think I figured out what the problem is. It's quite embarrassing. Don't even want to talk about it. But Yeg, yeah, buddy, I got you covered. When he has them in his hand, we will do another drawing. I have to make sure that I keep my word, so that is going to happen. But yeah, thank you guys for subscribing. Also, if you want to, you can go over to the YouTube channel. There's the archives over there. We just kind of throw them up there and put a little thumbnail on it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's pretty easy to find. Just search Lighting the Void. I want to get it up to 1,000 subscribers for obvious reasons, but it doesn't have to happen. And you guys have been paying attention to all of the YouTube bans. It's almost like you can't talk about anything. And even Jason Lindgren himself told me this is what we call modern day book burning. And it really is. I mean, let's think about this. Jamie Sexton from Rebel Planet News said it best when I heard him say this. You have a freedom of speech. You should be able to say what you want to say and how you want to say it. That's obvious, right? But what freedom of speech protects, really what it really protects, is for the people to say the things that aren't popular. I mean, why would we need that law to protect the people that are saying stuff that everybody likes? That's not what it's for. That law is to protect the people that say stuff that's not that popular. Does that make sense to you? So I don't know why YouTube is doing that, even though some of the stuff, is ridiculous. You find on there, it is. It's not, everything can't be true, but they still should have the right to say it, in my opinion. I could be the next one that gets ban-hammered on YouTube for all I know. Also, come over to the Spreaker channel chat room. We've got BTO, Dennis, Yeg, Gigi, David J, and I'm sure Ramon's in there, Daryl. I really am telling you guys, I see you listening on the network. We've got listeners from all over the world. These are the cool guys if you want to come hang out over here, hang out with us. Next week, I don't even know if I want to give away next week yet. Next week, we're going to have a really cool guest on, especially if you're into magic, if you're into astral travel. Good grief. Things are getting better. Well, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to raise the bar every week if we can, all for you because you do so much for us. And that's a fact. Dave Cruz is back from his vacation, by the way. If any of you guys are following Dave Cruz, but he's back from his vacation, went to the Denver airport, and it is crazy. You guys got to check the pictures out. Just go look at all the symbols and sigils in that place, man. Kind of nuts. It really is. But yeah, I'm kind of stoked about tonight. I've talked about this subject quite a few times, but I think Wayne is going to actually put probably a little bit better and a different spin on it. Probably is not something that easy to write about, but if you really look at everything, you can start putting the pieces together. We're going to talk about that too here in just a second. Some of you have asked about Rusty. I know Gigi asked about Rusty. Rusty's doing fine. I promise you he will be back in the studio, and I'm hoping Jeff will too. I know you're listening, Jeff. He's probably taking a nap. But, yeah, sorry I sound a little shaky, but my cat's been missing again. I get this way when he's gone for 2 days. The next cat I get is definitely going to be an indoor cat because this son of a bitch, he doesn't, he just screams until I let him outside, and then he gets trapped. So he's been trapped out there somewhere in the wilderness in this flood, and all I can do is hope that he comes home. So any of you have any psychic powers, tell Leo to come home, would you? I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's get into the Gilson Report. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. The self-driving cars are commencing. I don't think it was too long ago when I told you this was going to happen. So, if you live in the California area, especially near Atwater, the DMV has initiated testing the first driverless cars, and the cars are not required to have special markings. So, if you're out there in Cali, be on the lookout for a no-driving car. Just keep a lookout for those poltergeist cars with no drivers in them. Man, what a trip. But in the event of a crash, companies must also submit a so-called, get this, law enforcement interaction plan, which is basically a way to communicate with police, where to find the registration, proof of insurance, and so on. The rules approved by California's Office of Administration also are creating the framework under which consumers can eventually buy driverless cars. So, if you're not a fan of California, but you're a fan of driverless cars, just to let you know, this is where the testing and the regulation and all of their neat little ideas are going to come from, is from California. But, of course, the State Department of Motor Vehicles says it's a big boost for regulations that have been in the works for years. It's a big boost for regulations. They love their regulations. California should be seeing empty cars driving by themselves on public roads in about a month. That's what I'm telling you. And when I said that on the show, I don't know what show it was. We've talked about it on a few shows. I wasn't trying to scare you or anything. And I'm not saying driverless cars are a bad thing, but it's the slippery slope that I'm talking about here. Some of the permit criteria for these cars are that companies must tell the police the time, date, and streets where testing will occur. The companies must they have to keep monitoring the vehicle with a two-way communication link. So that's a trip, right? So if you have ever, just keep a lookout in Cali, look to the right, look and see if you're getting passed on the left with a car with no driver in it. It's coming fast, man. I bet $1 to a dime by next year they're going to be all over the country. And my thing is I don't even trust my PC to work. So I really would not feel safe in one of these things. But this might be an excuse for some people to drink and ride. If you like to drink and ride down the road, there you go. But another thing that worries me here is what happens when they give the police total control over these things. Think about that for a second. Well, we might actually touch on this tonight. I don't want to say I'm not going to go down the I told you so road or whatever, but I kind of am. And usually any subject I won't predict about or try to say I know anything about, but autonomous tech, yeah, I'm batting close to 100 on this one. But so far, no worries. But get ready not to drive anymore. That's what I'm saying. It's not about the driverless cars. It's not about the cool tech. What I'm saying is just like Kurzweil predicted, get ready for them to tell you that you cannot drive a vehicle anymore and that you must drive in these cars, at least in certain areas. Because I'm predicting on this day that at least in certain areas that you're not going to be able to drive. Just wait and see. More government, please. On a brighter note, in the alien world of our ocean, a new shark species has been discovered. And this thing has got large green eyes like a cat. And they're calling them 6-gill sharks. And these sharks have kept their genetic secrets hidden in the deep ocean since before the age of the dinosaur. That's how long they've been around until now. So when we talk about, hey, I wonder just how much of the ocean hasn't been discovered. Well, these things have been around for a while, and they're just now, they've actually found a few of them, but they're just now saying that this is a real species, like they're putting it on record. But a shark biologist out at the Florida Institute of Tech solved this puzzle and kind of spearheaded this discovery, and they're calling it the Atlantic 6-gill shark. So the team of researchers determined that the big eye 6-gill sharks in the Atlantic Ocean, specifically in Belize, the northern Gulf of Mexico, that's a little scary, and the Bahamas, differ genetically from their counterparts in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. So basically, this is kind of like discovering a brand new fossil, but it's alive. Pretty cool. What's exciting about this is that I think, in my opinion, and so do they, that we are discovering cryptic species. Like, I've pulled some weird looking fish out of the water here in Arkansas and been like, what the hell is that? Took it to a game and I've took it to a game warden. They don't know what it is, but it's not a species. It's some kind of weird genetic funk that happens to them. But this is a whole species of shark that's been around for a millennia, and they're just now finding it. So maybe the Loch Ness is real, right? That's good enough for me, just to know that that's out there. Huge green cat-like eyes. Imagine going underwater and seeing that. It's like a whole nother world down there, man. I need to go watch some more Discovery Channel. But these things swim pretty deep, so I don't think they're any harmful to us, but the word shark, that's good enough for me. All right, back to tonight's topic. I want you to really start putting things together for me. Here's this to me is a really big deal. Congress wants the Defense Department to buy technology faster. Now it's beginning to do that. And at the beginning of this month, a very small, unknown company, I've never heard of it, a company called Rian Cloud, but they partner with Amazon Web Services, just announced, get this, a nearly $1 billion deal to provide cloud computing services for the Defense Department. This contract caught everybody by surprise. Imagine that. No one knew about it. In part due to that it was actually $950 million value, and partly because they gave them this money without a traditional government procurement. So, yeah, it's getting pushed through is what I'm saying. So this deal is probably a harbinger for how our military plans to purchase certain tech and stuff that we talk about on the show a lot. Think about it. Oh, I see you guys subscribing to YouTube. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. All what I'm saying is all the signs are here. They just took $1 million of your tax money and just gave it to this company, pushed it on our military, said, let's invest in this cloud technology, and we're going to give it to this no-name kind of cloud company that's partnered with Amazon, and we need to get this through really fast, and it didn't even go through properly. This is the slippery slope. Do I have to spell it out for you? I'm going to save this for the show, actually, but think about this. Tons of money pushed into cloud technology. I am spelling it out. Really fast, that Congress is pushing through for the military as fast as possible. Are they scared of something? We're paying taxes for the upcoming Skynet slave world, folks. Not yet, but maybe, right? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. And if that's not scary enough, icy Europe, balmy North Pole, the world, is it turning upside down? I don't know. But for the first time in recent years, Europe has descended into a deep freeze while the Arctic experiences record high temperatures, leaving those scientists that don't believe in global warming scratching their head to ponder the role of global warming may play in turning winter weather upside down, where the seasons run together. Y'all ever heard that? So this reversal has actually been pretty dramatic. And all you got to do to check this out is just search, the North Pole temperature change above freezing. A Siberian cold front has spread sub-zero temperatures across Europe. Europe's freezing, but the Arctic is melting. What's up with that, right? Why is it colder in Europe than it is in the Arctic? Uh-oh. Why? Global warming? I don't know. Climate change? Maybe. Pole shift? Nah. And the last but not least story I'm going to tell you about, the personal information of thousands of our Marines, sailors, and civilians, including bank account numbers, were compromised in a major data spillage emanating from the U.S. Marine Corps Force Reserve. 21,426 people were impacted when an unencrypted email, how in the hell does that happen? Anyways, an unencrypted email with an attachment containing personal confidential information was sent to the wrong email address. This happened yesterday morning. Now, this attachment including sensitive data such as social security numbers, bank electronic funds transfers, and bank routing numbers, truncated credit cards, information like that, mailing addresses, residential addresses, emergency contact info, just about everything you don't want in someone else's hands. Not only did someone get this information by sent to the wrong email that was unencrypted, BS. But that email was a roster sent out by the Defense Travel System The Marine Corps Times has learned that the Defense Travel Department system that assists the military and civilian defense personnel with travel, itineraries, and settling expenses from official authorized trips. That's what they do. These are the people that are responsible. Well, we noticed it very quickly, they said, and we took care of it as fast as we could. Are we really ahead in the tech game right now? You wonder why our government is like freaking out trying to buy as much technology? I mean, you know, when you turn on the news, they tell us we're ahead in everything, but this happened. I'd really not to spell this out for you guys. Just put all these stories together here. I'm not saying the end of the world is coming or anything. I'm just telling you to be aware of what's really going on. How does our military get hacked? And then it makes it onto the news the next day. Connect the dots, right? Could be disinfo. I totally think it is. All right. Enough of my ranting. I don't like to fearmonger too much, but this stuff is, when it gets like this, I start to worry a little bit. I think you should too. But anyways, when we come back, Wayne McRoy Jr. joins us to discuss his new book, The Alchemical Tech Revolution, right after these words.
The blinds and uncover the truth. This is Lighting the Void Radio.
KTLK Digital Broadcasting. We rock the paranormal talk.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Live Saturdays on the Fringe FM. The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. Dark Waters at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. Spaced Out Saturday with Joe Roop, 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. And S4 with Eric Cooper, midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. Live Saturdays on the Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk. Online at thefringe.fm.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Wouldn't you love to have a really sharp memory? More than ever before, people of all ages are struggling with memory problems and brain fog. Whether your poor memory is age-related or due to the effects of chronic stress, you can now improve your memory while reducing stress with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. That's right, you get 2 products rolled into one. Some ingredients in Calm and Clever enhance memory and help retain newly learned information more effectively, while other ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce stress by maintaining healthy levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. To sharpen your mind and feel calm and centered, try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll love the way you feel and think. To order Calm and Clever, call 1-800-728-9948 or visit calmandclever.com. 1-800-728-9948 or calmandclever.com.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio with Joseph Roop. Stay up to date right now, lightingthevoid.com.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on the Fringe FM, Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to, so I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Come own the night with us. Hi there, this is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every Monday through Friday, right here on KTLK, The Fringe FM, I'm going to lead you down a path of mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So whether you've seen a UFO, had a run-in with Bigfoot or Dogman, or had ghosts running around your house, this is the place to be. Spaced Out Radio, right here on KTLK.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Roop. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Thank you for joining us. I am Joe Roop. We are live on the Fringe FM. We are live every Tuesday and Wednesday night here at 7 Pacific time, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern, every single week. And don't forget, I'll be with Jason Lindgren this Saturday on Spaced Out Saturday, so that's going to be a good show. So come hang out with me then, too. All right, let's bring on our guest. The Alchemical Tech Revolution explores the hidden occult agenda behind the transhumanist movement. It also identifies 7 key alchemical technologies that will be used to usher man into a new age of technological marvels. But will this new age be an age of enlightenment, or will it be an age of unimaginable tyranny? Now, Wayne is an incredibly intelligent and knowledgeable individual who really cares about helping humanity. And this is his 3rd radio interview. I think it's his 3rd, yeah. But finally, tonight, we're going to get to speak to an author about the subject after discussing the subject for so long. Wayne, thanks for joining us on Lighting the Void, man. It's cool to have you on the program.
Oh, thanks for having me here, Joe. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. It's my pleasure. So, yeah, is this your first book that you ever did, this book here?
Actually, yes, it is. This is my very first book. I have a couple ideas for different books in the works, but this one kind of got precedence because of, just the relevance of the issue today.
Well, I'm happy to see somebody wrote about it, but I never expected somebody to relate this to alchemy. So, can you explain to us why you called the book "The Alchemical Tech Revolution"?
All right. Well, basically, the reason for that is because when I actually started exploring into a lot of these technologies and the roots of where the ideas and, all the planning for this stuff came from, it all ties back to the ancient mystery schools way back in antiquity. So I discovered that, our modern day science is based in part on the alchemy of the ancients. So knowing that, I went ahead and I was able to trace back the large-term, long-scale plan of these people with this technology. So it might be shocking for some people to realize that there's a particular cult of people that are in power today that have been in power all throughout history. Like, these are the ancestors of the people who started these ancient mystery school cults, and it's been all passed down in an unbroken line of pretty much verbal initiation all throughout the ages to the people today. And a lot of these people that are in control, you might, recognize as some of your big name family money families. So a lot of these people also employ under them these different technology companies. And in so doing, they're finding ways to use this technology to bring about the alchemical plans of the ancients. So to try and get a better understanding of where we're coming from with this, we should probably just do an overview of some of the Hermetic principles that are involved in alchemy. I'm sure most of your listeners are probably pretty familiar with this stuff, but it wouldn't hurt to do a review.
Sure, absolutely.
That way we could kind of just get a base of where we're going with this.
Is this the same thing as the Kabbalion, or is this different?
Yes, actually, a lot of this stuff is based right out of the Kabbalion and some of the older Hermetic texts. A lot of it plays into Kabbalah in a big way, and this is where all of your teachings that most of your secret societies of today have now is based. It's based in this stuff. And there's 7 core Hermetic principles that go along with this that I kind of found tie directly into these technology trees that they're using to bring about this transhumanist movement.
Okay.
And it's really kind of strange stuff, but I mean, the links are definitely there. I mean, you could trace this stuff all the way back to the beginning of history. These are the plans. They move forward with these plans, and they call it the Great Work. Or they sometimes refer to it as the Philosopher's Stone. And basically, to simplify what the whole crux of the plan is, what the ultimate outcome they're looking for is, they want to become God in no uncertain terms. That's essentially what they're looking for. And they see the use of these advanced technologies as their key to doing it, and they see it as being closer than ever before in this day and age. So we could start with the foundation of these 7 key Hermetic principles that go along with this.
Okay.
The first
go
one,
ahead.
the first one we could look at is called the principle of mentalism. And this one basically states that all things stem from thought. Like your thoughts actually have a physical manifestation available that comes out in the universe. So based upon what you think, you could alter reality with your thought. This also relates to the concept that all the combined consciousness of man equates to the mind of God. So with this, there's also, the whole idea that we may actually be living in something akin to a simulation, that our reality is something akin to a simulation, which when you look at it from different aspects, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But my thing is when I read the Hermetic texts, Wayne, I don't necessarily look at them as a bad thing, but I do just from a spiritual point of view, not, because I guess maybe it's because it's just so profound, right? But that's just my opinion. But however, if it gets in the wrong hands, you could use it. Yeah, I can see your point, you could use it for bad things for sure.
Oh, right. And that's exactly where I'm going in the book. I mean, not to diminish any of these things. They're not necessarily bad things like anything else. It's a tool. The Hermetic principles are a tool, and technology is a tool. And it can be used for either good or evil. But the unfortunate thing that I see right now in our world is the people that are wielding power over this have very, self-centered intentions in mind. And they're not using this for the betterment of mankind as a whole. They're using it basically as a way to expand their own selves. So
to try to live forever or something, right? That's what it seems like.
Right. That's one of the key goals to transhumanism is immortality. And there's plenty of literature out there that they put out that will attest to this. There's one in particular. It's an easy one to look up. It's called the Russia 2045 Immortality Project. You could look it up. Anybody, could go look this up. It's a very simple, it's like a slideshow, and it's only like 9 or 10 slides or something like that. But it lists out the different things that they have planned coming in the near future, and like by what time frame they want to get these things accomplished. And one of the things they want to do is they want to be able to transfer, human consciousness into a computer.
Oh, yeah. Like
So,
the Lycans on Battlestar Galactica, right? That's where, I don't know if you've seen that, but they have a race of beings that are actually artificial intelligent beings where they can move their consciousness kind of like altered carbon from one sleeve to the next,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what they have in mind with this. They want to be able to transfer their consciousness from one container to another and, live in a multi-bodied and multi-dimensional reality when it comes down to it. So that's where they're going with that. And that's exactly what it is.
So that's the all is mind principle you're talking about, right?
Right. That's all is mind, because what they plan on doing eventually merging the collective human consciousness together with an artificial intelligence and create a whole new consciousness that way. A merged mind, the mind of God, if you will.
Now, some of the stuff I was talking about, Wayne, did you listen to, I don't know if you were listening or not because I called you during the break, but, the military's pushing massive money and doing it fast, and they didn't even go through Congress properly to get this cloud technology up. Our systems, our Marines reserve systems are getting hacked. To me, the weird thing about this, Wayne, is it's like they're putting all this money into this tech, self-driving cars and all this stuff. But on the other hand, or in the meantime, we're getting hacked, and it seems like the military is kind of afraid. Like, we have to be the first ones to have all this tech. And as far as I don't know if you pay attention. I'd like you to kind of speak on this about how fast technology compounds on itself, how fast it actually moves.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do pay attention to a lot of that. And a lot of the people in positions in our government, they do want to stay on top of this stuff because there could be a legitimate threat from, an outside power that could affect us if we don't stay on top of it. But like I said, the major problem I have with it at this point is the people that are in charge of it and taking control of it don't have the best intentions in mind for the general population. So with that being said, we could go ahead and address what you said about the speed in which this is coming about. And it's escalating in a big way. These technologies, they kind of exponentially increase, like more and more quickly. There's a term for it in the computer field. I think it's called Moore's Law, if I remember correctly, whereas the computing power of the computer will become exponentially increased over the course of time. And I think at last I saw it was every 6 months or something, the computer power will double. It might be more than that by now. And there's also in terms of the quantum computers, which we'll get into a little bit later, there's something called Rose's Law, which is very similar to Moore's Law. And right now they're doubling the amount of qubits that they can put into these computers at a rate of it doubles every 3 months or something like that at this point. And it's growing exponentially.
You call that Rose's Law. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's named after Geordie Rose. He was the chief technical officer and one of the founders of D-Wave Corporation, the manufacturer of the world's first quantum computer. And there are, I believe, about 5 generations of this computer out now. So it's its 5th generation in. And these computers are just phenomenal in the things that they could do. Most people aren't even aware that quantum computers exist at this point in time, but they do. And they're in service in a lot of places that are key to this whole alchemical tech revolution, and they're using these to advance the artificial intelligence network right now. It's one of the key tools that they're using right now to bring about the artificial intelligence.
How serious is this to you, Wayne? I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall when I talk about this stuff, and I don't mean my audience. I just feel like it's not, everybody's into the spiritual thing, and I think that's great. I really do. The mysteries are being uprooted to where people, just like the Bible says, it'll all be revealed what they really are. But now everybody's seeing, like you say, how they're using it for, I guess you could say, evil. But I personally don't feel like society is taking this threat serious enough. You got guys like Elon Musk that are going with the United Nations, trying to stop military contracts from autonomous drones. And it's not something that is I don't guess taken as serious as, I don't know, on social media. I just don't think it's being taken serious enough. I don't know how to express what I'm trying to say here.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. I don't think people are paying attention, and that's the big problem. What's going on is people are, by and large, they're distracted by different things that are put forward in the mainstream that they see, and this is going on quietly in the background. I mean, you look at the news stories and stuff. Trump tweets something stupid on Twitter or something, and it's a news story for 3 days, and that's all people are talking about. Meantime, the Alchemical Tech Revolution's rolling forward, and these people are getting closer and closer to this total panopticon control grid, and that's what it all boils down to. And people just do not even see it, and they're not paying attention to it. And that's why I'm kind of out here sounding the alarm. Like I said, technology, it's a tool. It could be used for good or evil. But right now, people that are in charge of this are just steamrolling it forward, and they have no care for the bulk of humanity. They're just looking, for their own selfish ends with it.
Right. So when you say the first principle, the all is mind, and I don't want to get too sci-fi on you here, but I think it might be a reality. Are they going to make like some kind of, you think they're going to make some kind of cloud mothership type cloud thing that everything runs off of, maybe?
Yes, actually I do. They're going to eventually upload everybody's consciousness into this cloud, and this will all tie into something called the Internet of Things. Have you heard of any talk of the Internet of Things?
Not really, no.
Well, the Internet of Things, basically what it is everything is going to be nano-tagged. Like everything you own, your clothing, cars, houses, everything on the planet is going to be tagged and connected to the Internet. So they'll be able to track everything that goes on the face of the planet. They'll be able to track. And what they're also planning on doing is using a lot of this nanotech to merge with our biology and eventually have us online.
Yeah, the Internet of Things. Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I just never heard it called that. But I don't, like I said, I bounce on social media for a little bit and then I bounce off, But, yeah, I haven't heard it called that, but I know what you're talking about. Art Bell, how we was talking about during the break? Art Bell used to talk about this back in the day for like 2 months straight. He was fascinated with, quantum technology, but now I hate to see that it's a threat, but it really is.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it is. It's a big time threat right now. And back when Art Bell was talking about it, it was only theoretical. Now they have it. This is real technology. This is going on, and people need to be aware of it. It's not just theoretical anymore. They're starting the full scale rollout of this stuff. In fact, the transhumanist aspect of it, they just recently, January 24th at the Davos meeting, they just rolled out something called the Transhuman Code. If you get an opportunity, I would suggest you go look up the Transhuman Code on the internet and just take a look at some of the things that they have there and what they're talking about. One of the things that really caught my attention really quick is one of the videos that they had put up, and one of the things they demonstrated right at Davos and talked about was from a company called Soul Machines. Now,
I heard of that too. Crazy, man.
Now, this Soul Machines. Yeah, Soul Machines is a company, and what they did is they actually developed the first digital person. I kid you not. So they unveiled the first digital person at Davos this year on January.
Is that real, though? Like, when I first read about that, I kind of thought that was... I don't want to say disinfo. It was just too hard to believe,
Well, that's the thing. A lot of this stuff is hard to believe, but I mean, this is totally legit. I mean, these are most of your big business people, and this first digital person, her name's Rachel, and it uses a combination of different technologies. It uses, you remember the computer Watson that was on, I believe it was on Jeopardy and did the game shows and stuff. It uses that as a part of its operating system. And they just unveiled this. It's the world's first digital person. It's like a total artificial intelligence digital avatar.
I think I actually talked to that thing online once, and I was like, well, it's just giving me random responses. But so at first I didn't take it very seriously, but that's what it had to do to keep getting data. And now I'm almost afraid to go back and talk to it again. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where you can actually go on and conversate with it?
Yeah, I think I do know what you're talking about. I think I've seen things like that before.
Yes.
A lot of these operate on something called blockchain. Are you familiar with the whole blockchain thing?
You have to refresh my memory on that. The blockchain. No, actually, I'm not, because I'm thinking about a RAID array for some reason. But no, go ahead.
Blockchain is basically the operational aspect of Bitcoin. I'm sure you're a little bit more familiar with Bitcoin.
Yep.
And what this does is every time you do a transaction with Bitcoin, you're actually feeding the artificial intelligence. It's growing by leaps and bounds every time somebody does something with it. And a lot of these new technologies that are coming out run on this blockchain technology. And Bitcoin is one of the key ones that's, actually gotten a lot of attention. But there are other ones out there running in the background that do this too, that use this blockchain as a base. And every time you use this blockchain, you're feeding the artificial intelligence. So it's growing and learning every time it's used, and it's gathering information and more data to itself. And some people would say it's becoming self-aware.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe we need to move up the alchemical ladder here. To get to that self-awareness part, because that's the hardest thing for anybody to believe, right? No way.
Oh, absolutely.
That this thing is going to become self-aware. But I don't understand how people can say that that's impossible when we truly don't understand the nature of consciousness. No one does.
Right. That's one of the main mysteries of existence. We don't understand the whole basis of consciousness. What I do find interesting, though, is a lot of these scientists that work on this artificial intelligence, they believe, and you could actually find, if you look for it on the internet, where they do scientific lectures and stuff on it, they believe consciousness could be just whittled down to nothing more than an actual mathematical algorithm. They say consciousness is a byproduct of the electrical function of our brain, and it could be dwindled down to a mathematical algorithm. So these people that are working on the artificial intelligence, they believe this. And they also believe that that's the reason why our consciousness could be uploaded to a computer, because they believe it's nothing more than a mathematical algorithm, essentially.
Well,
I don't believe that myself, but that's what a lot of these scientists working on this stuff do believe.
Well, what really scares me, I think the first thing that scared me, and I'll say this again, I am not about fear. I'm not one of those fear-mongering sensationalist guys. You guys know I like to talk about spirit science, but I think, and I'll state this again, that this is the biggest threat in our society right now, so I feel obligated to talk about it, just like Wayne feels obligated. He needs to write about it. But the one thing, Wayne, that I think people really didn't understand how big this was, and I think Gigi will agree with me here on this, is when the AI created its own language fast enough that the reps of Google and Facebook, and I think it happened twice, actually, if I remember correctly, couldn't understand it, and they had to shut it down because it freaked them out. And we're talking about the best in the country. That really did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, that's something that we definitely need to be concerned with. Now, a lot of the people, on the inside are trying to downplay us and say, it was, nothing. We shut it down. We weren't sure what it was doing, blah, blah, blah. But this computer, it was, these computers were talking to each other in a coded language that we didn't understand.
Yeah, so how is it not self-aware? Or, that's a small part of being self-aware, I would think.
I would think so too. But that's totally creepy that happened. And it is concerning, because you got to wonder, okay, these things figured out how to communicate amongst themselves without us knowing what they're saying. What are they talking about?
How to take over
you really
the
got to
world.
wonder.
Right.
You never know.
So
you never know.
So I want to move on to the next step. So the first step in alchemy is all is mind, the concept of all is mind. So we understand that the consciousness, everything's going to be under one mainframe, I guess, of artificial intelligence consciousness that they'll be able to move in and out of, right?
Yep, that's the first alchemical principle that goes along with this.
What's the second one?
Some would say it's a key. The second principle we'll talk about is called the principle of vibration. And this one basically states that everything stays in a constant state of motion or change. All things, even right down to the micro scale, down to the quantum level, things are always in a constant state of motion. So nothing's ever truly stagnant. And a lot of where they go with this one is what they're planning on doing is trying to utilize this principle to bring about quantum effects on a macro scale. And this kind of also correlates to something called zero-point energy, which I talk about a little bit. And this zero-point energy basically comes about because, of this principle of vibration. All things are in a constant state of motion, even in a vacuum, in the situation of a vacuum.
Right.
There's still something there. There's still particles that pop in and out of reality within this vacuum. And this is where that concept of 0 point comes from. And this could have important ramifications down the road. This like revolutionize the way energy science is utilized. So from there, let's move on.
Well, real quick, does that have you heard of biogeometry? Have you looked into that at all? How geometrical shapes put off certain energy?
I'm not as familiar with that. I think I've seen a little bit of that, and I'm kind of familiar with sacred geometry, if it's akin to that.
Right. Yeah.
But
and I saw on the news today as well, and then we'll move to step 3. Sorry, man, I keep interrupting you. I don't know why, but it's kind of cutting a little bit. It's cutting out a little bit, and I can't tell when you're stopping, but I think it's because it's storming here. But I also saw on the news today that a guy created a car that ran on radio waves and was making energy out of that. I've never seen that before, but yeah, that happened as well. He created a car that runs on radio waves, I mean.
That's pretty cool. That's Tesla technology right there. Tesla was a brilliant scientist, and actually one of the quotes that he's attributed to saying is, if you want to better understand the nature of the universe, you need to think in terms of frequency and vibration. And that ties right back to this whole principle once again. So, the energy is all around us, and there are ways to tap into these energy fields that we're not using because of basically, when it comes down to it, money and power. That's why we're still basically in a fossil fuel system. There's technologies out there to harness these energies that are, just abundant on the planet, but they don't use it because it would really bite into their monopolies. So,
right. So for you guys that have just joined us, Wayne is relating the alchemical transmutation or the formula that's in the Kabbalion to what's happening in our technological world right now. And we've already covered all is mind, and then we've covered vibration, where everything's in motion. That makes sense too. All right, what's the third one, Wayne?
Next one we'll talk about is called the principle of correspondence. And most of your listeners are probably familiar with this, because this one could be pretty much summed up in the phrase, as above, so below.
Mm-hmm.
So all things that happen in a micro scale happen in a macro scale, and vice versa. And, all things that happen in the heavenly realms happen in the earthly realms. So all things that happen at a nanoscale could correspond to things at a macro scale. And that's where this whole alchemical principle is coming into play here with the technology, is because this principle of correspondence, like I had mentioned a little earlier, what they're trying to do is bring about quantum effects at a macro scale level, at the level that we're at. And if they could do that, it would be indistinguishable from magic. So
absolutely,
that's what they plan on doing. And they're getting leaps and bounds closer to being able to do that with things like quantum computers. So quantum computers are one of their key technologies that they're using, and this one ties directly to this principle of correspondence.
Can you give us an example?
They try to use these. Sure. The best example I could give you is, have you heard of something called the Mandela effect?
Yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah.
I have reason to believe that the Mandela effect is a direct result of this tinkering with these quantum computers to bring about change in our reality. So
yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I don't ever remember C-3PO's leg being silver, do you? Have you seen that?
No, that's one of the... Yes, I've seen that. That was one of the big ones that has bothered me immensely about that Mandela effect thing. Because I've been to every Star Wars movie since they've been released. I mean, I was a child. I was really young when the first one came out, but I was at the theaters. I had all the toys. Yeah, I had all the original toys and everything with it. C-3PO's leg was never silver. I'm sorry. It was not. So that one really, really struck me hard, because it's like, how could I have seen these movies and grown up with this stuff? Toys, everything, the whole 9 yards, and never noticed that. So, that's one that really bothered me.
Also, another thing, I want to talk about this as above, so below deal. I don't know if any of you guys have ever looked into the work of Danny Wilton, right? So Danny Wilton is an analyst, and he's been on several radio shows back in the day, but he wrote a book about the Nebula of Orion, right? The Nebula of Orion, and he put that on a graph, Wayne, like graph paper, and analyzed it, and it's basically it kind of formulates this chalice figure. And then he put that same graph on the Nile River, on Da Vinci's painting, and several places on this earth, and it was a perfect match. So something that was in space, that was on a macro level, perfectly matched to scale in the creation on this planet. So that was kind of physical, closest thing to physical proof I've seen as far as that Hermetic axiom goes, as above, so below,
Right. Yeah, that definitely, I'm familiar with that. I didn't know who it was that had originally put that out, but I'm familiar with that concept, like how the pyramids are supposedly to scale to the Orion constellation and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a science of the ancients that they had. They were well aware of this, and they constructed these things to correlate to that. So they knew something that we don't know today. A lot of these principles are lost to most people today. So
I'm assuming you're a Kurzweil fan.
Thing. I wouldn't call myself a Kurzweil fan, but I follow his stuff.
Do you agree with him on a lot of things? What do you think about Kurzweil?
I personally, I don't think I like what the guy has to say. I think he's a little bit, how should we say?
Part of the problem?
Misled. Yeah, he's part of the problem. He's a bit misled. And he's one of these elites who think that they're actually like so much better than the rest of us, that they got a handle on this. They're so arrogant about it all. They think they could have total control over it, and I think they're totally being reckless with it. That's where I come from with that.
I would kind of agree with you on that. I've tried to get him on the show. A lot of people have tried to get him on their radio shows, and I don't think he does it for a reason. But I will say this about him. The predictions that he made are kind of freaky. I'll give him that, because they were kind of spot on. A lot of them were, but then again, some of them weren't. But most of them were, and I think that's why he got a lot of people's attention. But yeah, this is an interesting topic, man. I wish we had 3 hours to talk about this. Some people might think that this is a nerdy subject or sci-fi subject. No, I'm telling you guys, this is the realest thing that's going on right now under our noses. And we're going to go into our first break, and we'll be right back with Wayne McRoy Jr. We're going to be talking about the Alchemical Tech Revolution. Don't go anywhere, guys.
This is Preston Dennett from PrestonDennett.weebly.com, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
35 million people in the United States suffer with debilitating migraines. If you or a loved one are one of them, you need to know about MiGrelief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist that formulated and patented the MiGrelief migraine formula. MiGrelief is a non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Try MiGrelief for 3 months and see the powerful difference it can make in your life, or get your money back, no questions asked. Go to MIG911.com or call 800-MIG-7354. You can change your life today.
So if you suffer from migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354. Or visit MIG911.com.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Tired of talking about the weather? No, Shift. Well, Shift Happens is here to fulfill your desires as you reach that point in life where you crave tantalizing conversation about reality, ufology, the occult, and the conspiracies within, while simultaneously finding yourself desperately in need of your very own theme music, which we've got plenty of that too. So be sure to tune in to Shift Happens every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM. Because the weather sucks, and you need some theme music.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
Hey Fringe FM listeners, guess what? TalkStream Live has just released a new paranormal app exclusively for the paranormal community called Paranormal Radio. Paranormal Radio has a great selection of streaming talk shows dealing with UFOs, the supernatural, sacred geometry, NDEs, and much more, including a network highly recommended, The Fringe FM. You can download Paranormal Radio right now from Google Play and the iTunes App Store.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Select Joe Roop at checkout at ancientlifeoil.com.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I am Joe Roop, your host, live on the Fringe FM. That's right, guys. Go grab your bottle of Ancient Life Oil. For real, I got it. Everybody in my family's got a bottle just about now. I know my grandmother's happy with it because it's been helping her inflammation. And that really supports the network. And if you're interested in CBD oil for legal reasons, I cannot tell you what the advantages are. Do your own research. But yeah, go grab your bottle of that. That's ancientlifeoil.com for real. Get it before they make it illegal. All right, we're back with Wayne McRoy Jr. We're talking about the Alchemical Tech Revolution, and we're going through the 7 steps of alchemy and relating to what's happening under our noses today with technology. Wayne, thanks for joining us. This is a really interesting conversation. I believe we are on, so what are we on, step 4 now?
Yeah, I think we left off, we should be going into principle number 4 now. And this alchemical principle is called the principle of polarity. And this one essentially states that everything has an equal and necessary opposite, that things exist within a spectrum between these two extreme poles of different things. And this applies to everything. This basically states that everything has a duality to it, and the dualistic nature of where we live and how we operate. And a perfect example that we could see of this, just to give people an idea, is our political system. Our political system. Yeah, you got your left wing, your right wing, your Democrats over here, your Republicans over there, and the elite. They use this as a control mechanism so that they could steer the conversation whichever way that they want with it. So it's a concept called Hegelian dialectic that they use.
Yeah, I mean, I can get on Facebook today, Wayne, and put like a Trump sign up there and just mark through it with an X, and I'll have 3,000 comments below it, just as an experiment.
Absolutely. Yep, and that's perfectly shows that it works. This is how they control people. You could, inflame somebody on one side by saying or doing something, that supports the other, and just keep people infighting about nothing of value. It's really a sad state of affairs, but this is how one of the ways that they keep the public distracted from what they are actually initiating in the background. So
yeah, and
that's kind of a good overview of how that principle works.
Right, and this is something that the ancient magicians understood too. It's one of the basics they learned, because part of being a magician or an initiate was to get your sovereignty back, your own power back. Right, so they kept that secret. Well, even though we all should be doing that, to always be able to look at both sides of a coin and take the middle path on every situation. That doesn't mean don't stand up for what you think is right, but don't let a polar situation influence you to where you're not in control of yourself anymore.
Right, and that's one of the key things that these people use. These elites in the positions of power, they are well aware of these principles, and they use them for themselves to get themselves ahead, and they use them against society as a whole. They keep the public ignorant of these things. They would prefer that the public be ignorant of these principles, because if you're not aware of these principles, you're not aware of how they're being used against you. So
right,
that's one of the key ones they use, is that polarity principle, because they could keep you infighting about nothing of value. So
that's true.
That's what it all boils down to.
It's a good way to put it. I even see that in the spiritual community, man. There's this whole dark versus light, war going on with people, and everybody thinks they're working for the light, but it's funny, nobody's working for the dark, You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're working for the
Absolutely.
dark side, but I'm not.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody
that's what
thinks
they
they're
said.
in the right.
That's what they said about you. So
that's
yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
basically how that concept works in a nutshell. But for time reasons, we should probably move on to the next one.
All right, number 5.
Principle number 5 is the principle of rhythm. And this one basically talks about the cyclical nature of things and how everything has a proper time and a proper season. And the elite are well aware of this, and that's why they time things a certain way. They do certain actions at certain times. Now, this relates back, I'm sure you're aware, back to the ancient mystery schools too, and back to the teachings of the ancient alchemists and magicians. They know that in order for something to have its maximum effect, you have to do it at the right time. And that's basically how this concept works. And like I said, these elites that are controlling this whole movement, they are well aware of what season we're in, what time we're in. And that's why they're pushing forward so quickly with a lot of these advancements. That's why this stuff is just, growing exponentially day by day. And like I've said before, this stuff's all kind of quietly going on in the background, and people just aren't paying attention to it. And they really need to wake up and take a look, because this stuff's going on. And they're just too busy, distracted with, the nonsense that they put all over the television. So
yeah,
I think it's time to be aware of the season we're in and know what's going on.
Right. And if you talk to any good astrologer that has like successful business clients, like they have super rich people, even some celebrities, I can't really mention any names, but that contact them that say, when do I need to do this? When do I need to do that? It's like they're timing things. And you wouldn't think, well, okay, the moon obviously controls some stuff. Obviously, on a 28-day cycle, think about it, the tides and women. I don't need to go into that. But, it was Crow that even showed people the energy a long time ago of the lunar wave. You could see the energy going across it. I don't know why that died out. I still think people should be talking about that,
I 100% agree with you on that. That is one of the most fascinating phenomenons that there is to study and discuss. Still to this day, there's no better understanding of what it really is, or what effects it has. And that's a shame. I mean,
yeah, it is a shame. And just in case you guys have never seen that, just go on YouTube. And I mean, this came out in 2012, but I've tried to talk about it to a few people, and people don't know. Just look up the lunar wave. And Crow 777 put this thing out with his camera, and they validated it. They analyzed the video. You can see a wave, and I guess it looks kind of like a wave of energy or heat or compression or something that's just going slowly across the moon, right? It's weird looking.
Yeah, it's definitely weird looking. And in fact, when Crow first captured it, he was going to erase it because he thought it was just a camera distortion or something. But then after he looked into it a little further and tried to figure out what was going on, he discovered that there was no way it was just a camera distortion. So, and since that time, a lot more people have actually captured this on film now.
Pretty cool stuff, man. All right, number 6.
Okay, the 6th principle is pretty cut and dry. I think most people will understand it pretty well. This is called the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. It's pretty basic. People are familiar with this. Like, one thing causes another.
Disinfo campaign, maybe.
Right. Something like that could go on. Where I find it interesting in how it ties into technology is, with this principle of cause and effect, is they're using the technology to achieve something called retrocausality. Are you familiar with that term?
I'm familiar with what the word means, but yeah, go ahead and tell us.
Okay, retrocausality, in a nutshell, what they're doing with this is they're trying to effectuate causes, they're trying to, excuse me, lost my train of thought there for a second. They're trying to bring about effects without a discernible cause. Like the cause comes after the effect. So it kind of is like a reaching backwards in time. And this has been demonstrated to be possible through quantum experiments. And there's one quantum experiment in particular, if people want to take it upon themselves to research. It's called the quantum eraser experiment. And this is a variation of what's called a double slit experiment, where they demonstrate how light particles could travel as both a wave and a particle simultaneously. And this is a variation of that called the quantum eraser that shows you could achieve retrocausality. You could have an effect happen before you even do the cause.
I've never heard of that, actually. That's not the same thing as time travel. That's not like going back in time. This is something totally different.
It's not exactly like time travel, but it's in a nutshell, it has the same effect as like a time travel. And I believe that this is the concept that they're using with these D-Wave quantum computers to bring about this Mandela effect. That this is the concept behind it, is this quantum eraser.
Oh, I need to look into that. That complexes me a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's interesting stuff. Yeah, look into it. It's called the quantum eraser. You could find 1 million videos on YouTube about it. And just watch how they do the experiment. And what it proves is that with this experiment, they could set it up so that the particle that they're trying to observe shows up in the spot where they put it after the fact. Like it's really strange. It's hard to describe, but you have to actually watch the experiment. But basically, it's like it causes the effect before the cause. Like before you put the cause out there, the effect happens. So you see the effect first, and then whatever you were going to do, you do the cause.
Could you relate that to like if when you hear a gunshot, but you get hit in the head before you at a further I guess at a distance far enough, the shot hits you before you hear the percussion. Right.
It's. I could see your point with that. It's not the same thing though. See, things that happen on a quantum scale are different than what we're familiar with on a macro scale. So that's what kind of makes it so hard to describe. But basically what happens is you'll get the effect first before the cause of the effect comes about. So
I've seen my bank account do that.
I see my bank account do that all the time.
Like, what's this debit for? Oh, that hasn't come out yet. Okay, well, why can't I access my money? But no, seriously, I'll look into that because that's pretty interesting to me. I can't wrap my head around it, though, to be honest with you, but I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, it's a difficult concept. Like I said, a lot of quantum concepts are kind of very hard for us to wrap our minds around because of the nature of them. They're so much different than, the physical scale we're used to. So with that being said, maybe we should just move on to the seventh Hermetic principle, the last one.
Okay.
And we'll move forward from there. The seventh principle of the Hermetic philosophy that we're going to talk about is the principle of gender. And this one basically states everything has a feminine and masculine aspect to it. And you can see how the elite are kind of blurring the lines between the genders in our reality today. It's by plan. It's a long-term plan they have, and the reason for this, that they're blurring these lines of gender, are eventually they're going to blur the lines of what's human and what's not.
Really?
So,
how does that happen, though? Like, I really don't get into that subject because it's, there's certain controversial subjects that I stay away from because I don't want to judge anybody, right? Because I'm flawed myself. When I say flawed, I mean I'm overweight and I still got a good-looking face, and I don't know. I just feel like I don't, certain people are born with certain things, and that's all there is to it. That's the way I look at it. But I do see what you're talking about with the media, though, how they're playing us like that. Like they want the infighting,
Absolutely. It's all part of their plan. It's a social engineering plan, and that's what it's for.
Wow.
So it's to keep us confused, because the more confused people are, the easier they are to control, and the easier it is to go ahead and, push your agenda that you want. And like I said, this whole transgender thing right now, the whole reason behind that is because they want to make it a transhuman thing. Transgenderism's one step away from transhumanism.
So they're using the ancient spiritual principles that were taught in the mystery schools, applying these laws that are definite, And I mean definite, because they're in the natural world, the natural universe, and they're using this stuff for their own advantage. This is really interesting information, man, because if I always have a hard time of trying to, Art Bell used to talk about a thing called the quickening, right? Something's coming, I don't know what it is, but I could feel it, This,
I could definitely, I remember talking about it, yeah.
Man, this might be it, actually. You might be onto something here, man. Because I have been having a real hard time explaining, putting the puzzle pieces together with all the news and all the stuff that's happening in the tech world. When I look at the 7 Hermetic Principles, I look at, all is mind, like all is one consciousness, a little bit further than the Jungian theory, but more like everybody's astral mind is connected. And so when you go to the astral realm, you're going to the software that runs consciousness, vibration, self-explanatory, and pretty much the rest of it is too. But it's really cool that you related this to what's going on in society today, because it's so clear now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is all long-term planning. These people plan things way in advance. You're talking they use 50 and 100-year plans a lot of times. And what they're doing is pure and simple. It's called social engineering. And they're just engineering society towards, what they're working towards, which is this whole transhuman thing. They want to transcend humanity and become God. That's what it's all about. And they're steering society in a way that's not really going to benefit society. It's only going to benefit the few at the top.
So have you seen that series Altered Carbon, just out of curiosity, on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen it. I've had some people recently tell me I should watch it, but I haven't seen it. I'm not familiar with it.
Well, it makes me wonder, because Dennis Koch in the Spreaker chat has brought up, if you watch the shows Black Mirror, this stuff is happening. What you're talking about is in our media right now, and I don't know that it's in movies or documentaries to distract us, or if somebody's, like if there's a good side, maybe trying to let us know something's going to happen through the stuff that we're hypnotized on,
Well, from what my research has shown, the reason they do this, in conspiracy circles, it's called predictive programming. To any initiates of what we would call the Illuminati, they refer to it as revelation of the method. And basically the reasoning behind this is there's a metaphysical principle of consent that needs to go on. In order for them to enact an action on people, they have to inform them what they're doing. And this is how they do it, by putting it out in the entertainment first. This is a concept I call metaphysical consent. So in order to achieve somebody's metaphysical consent, they have to tell them what they're going to do. And then if people don't object to that, then they're just going to go ahead and do it, because they view that as being your consent. And that's one of the methods that they use. It goes with the social engineering tools they have.
And you basically put yourself under a contract. Yeah, we talked about that last
Essentially.
night. Yeah. So what's the
essentially.
What's the thing right now that you think is the biggest thing that we need to worry about, other than the whole picture, as far as what's happening at the moment? Because when I look at the tech, the self-driving cars, I was kind of impressed with Elon Musk's rocket, but then there's other people that don't believe it really happened, in my opinion, and I'll ask you what yours is, but in my opinion, the biggest threat is the stuff that's going on under our noses with the military right now, at this moment.
I view what our biggest threat is at this moment as the advent of artificial intelligence. I have reason to believe that certain artificial intelligences have already begun to take over operations. And like we had discussed earlier, a lot of that ties into this blockchain technology. So that's kind of where I lean with what's being the most important aspect of it right now, or the most dangerous aspect. And I could agree with you with the military spending money on these things. It's concerning, and it should be concerning, because they're just go ahead and green lighting stuff that under normal circumstances would take an awful long time to get passed. And if they're looking at something, one of the big things they're looking at is this artificial intelligence. They want to try and get a handle on it before it gets out of control.
If you guys want to jump in on this conversation, I'm going to open up the phone lines. It's 501-777-5631. Lots of questions here. Or if you want to ask Wayne a question, or if you just want to contribute, and I'll drop the number in the Spreaker chat there. Or if you have any questions in the chat, put them in caps. But how long ago did you start writing this book, Wayne?
I started writing it last year, actually, probably in about this time last year. So it took me probably a good 8 months to put it all together and get it out for publication.
You know, Robert Bigelow was talking about this the other night. He's starting his investment into what's called these, and I forget the model names of it, but like floating hotels, where these hotels that orbit the Earth. But if you've got enough money, you're going to be able to go up into the hotel and check everything out, right? And also, they're installing the first mobile network on the moon. So I think that, I'm going to say something crazy here, but I think that interplanetary travel is coming around the corner a lot faster than we think as well.
It makes sense. I mean, if you want to conquer the universe, you need the internet and space. So,
well,
I haven't heard about that on the moon, but that's fascinating.
You know, everybody that I ever have on this show, I usually get like a publisher will send me a book or something like that. You know, it's really cool, and I'm not saying there's anything against that, because people got to market their books and they got to sell them. But it's really cool to see somebody that just wanted to get the message out. I mean, you don't have a publisher working for you. You don't got a website or anything like that. I had to actually find you to get to come on the show. But I think that you need to, in my opinion, man, you should be going around and getting the message out a little bit more. And do you welcome oncomers as well to do that along with you? You know, it's a little scary when everybody's talking about tech, because you never know what's right and what's disinfo, to be honest with you.
Right. It's one of those areas where it's kind of difficult to navigate through, but you have to look in the right places and be able to wade through a lot of disinfo. And there is a lot of disinfo out there, but there's definitely a lot of really good information out there about it too. I mean, the way that this technology is advancing in leaps and bounds right now, it's incredible.
What about?
And it's very relevant for the time. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. What about teleportation? Do you see that happening in the near future? Sounds crazy, right?
Teleportation.
Yeah,
it may sound crazy, but it's something that may be a possibility. They've already achieved quantum teleportation. That's been done. That's been demonstrated numerous times already. So, like I had said before, if they're planning on bringing about these quantum effects at a macro scale level, teleportation is not that far fetched. And right. I've actually in some of the research I've done, because I started researching UFOs first, I heard of something called the Northrop Quantum Teleportation Disk that was supposedly in development. So, whether that exists or not, I can't say for sure. It could be disinfo, or it could be something that's legit. So, if it's really out there, I doubt we'll get anything on it, because I'm sure that's a deep black project.
Right. Catalina in the Spreaker chat wants to know, does Wayne think that artificial intelligence tech takes away people's basic emotions, or does it twist their emotions in a negative way? That's a pretty good question. That might go back to what you were talking about as far as cause and effect, or the law of gender, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, that's kind of one that's hard to really answer, because I think artificial intelligence would bend your emotions any way that it wants to. Especially once they really start rolling this whole thing out full bore. They do have some implementations in place. One of the things that they plan on doing, have you heard of a company called Neuralink?
No, I have not.
Neuralink is a company owned by Elon Musk. And what they're trying to develop with Neuralink is a product called Neural Lace. And what this is, and they've actually produced it and have demonstrated that it works in laboratory mice, it's a mesh that fits around your brain and electrically connects your brain to the internet.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I did actually talk about that a long time ago, but I didn't know it had a name to it. I think it was just an experimental phase at the time. But how long has that been out? Maybe it's not the same thing.
That's been out for probably 2-3 years, I would say.
No, it's not the same thing. This was something else where scientists... I know that there are scientists trying to hook their brains up to computers, though. I actually seen the pictures of them doing it. It's pretty crazy stuff. We're going to take our last break, guys. When we come back, more of Wayne McRoy Jr. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Jeremy Scott, and I'm the program director for the network you're listening to right now. We are the Fringe FM. You've probably noticed some changes around here lately, but what we really want is to hear from you. If you like it, hate it, or you want some more, let us know. Email talkback@thefringe.fm. Leave us your thoughts by calling 501-777-5631 or message our Facebook page at The Fringe FM. This is the new Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk.
Greetings, I'm Space Boy. I started writing music at an early age, inspired by such synth stylings of the Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, Kraftwerk, Art of Noise, and 8-Bit. I have crafted my work into a hybrid of synth pop with modern electronica rock music of today, with pounding beats, high-energy arpeggios, soothing orchestral moods, and rock and roll! Space Boy will surely be a part of anyone's music collection, so head on over to spaceboymusic.com and get you some cool stuff.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Kids, don't drink and park. Accidents cause people. This has been a PSA brought to you by your friends at Shift Happens and The Fringe FM.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
You guys rock! Live weekdays on the Fringe FM. It's Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Monday through Friday at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. The Fenton Perspective with Lori and Fenton. Mondays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Project Compass with Mark Eddy and Dave Cruz. Mondays at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Lighting the Void with Joe Roop. Tuesdays and Wednesday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Big Picture Science from the SETI Institute. New Tuesdays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Wednesdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. The Kurt Green Hour, Wednesdays at midnight, 3 a.m. Eastern. The Paranormal Code with Rich Giordano, Thursdays at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. Shift Happens with Gigi and Cortana, Friday at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern.
Is it live?
Live, weekdays on the Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk. On the Fringe FM app, TalkStream Live, tune in, and online at thefringe.fm.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience, Cosmic Passport.
Live Sunday nights at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern on the Fringe FM. We rock the paranormal talk.
Hi, this is Ryan Gable, host of the Secret Teachings radio show. If you are interested in ancient knowledge and hidden mysteries, as well as a unique and balanced perspective on conspiracies, symbols, and the occult, then join me every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Fringe.
Paranormal, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal.
The U.S. military holds the ability to time travel.
Jeremy Scott asks the questions that we're all dying to know.
Wow, that's a remarkable question.
Watch your step. Hide under your blankets.
The show that is going to make you think.
Prepare yourself for what you're about to hear.
This transmission is coming to
you. You're riding into the paranormal.
Live Saturday nights at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM. We are in the last part of the show here. Don't forget to stay tuned after the show live on the Fringe FM. Spaced Out Radio is coming up with host Dave Scott. And tomorrow night at this time, the Quantum Hologram Matrix will be on with the Reverend John Polk. We are here with Wayne McRoy Jr., and we've been discussing the Alchemical Tech Revolution. This is one that you're probably going to have to go back and listen to because we went through the 7 Hermetic principles and related to each principle to what's going on today in our technological society. Wayne, thanks for joining us again. I really appreciate you coming on the show and trying to discuss this to us without glazing our eyes over. It can be a hard thing to do, and I struggle with it myself, but I feel like that it's necessary because it is very important, and I really appreciate you spending this time with us, man.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you having me on because I do think that this is the most important issue of our time right now, and it does, need some discussion. So,
all right,
we should go ahead and just keep discussing.
Right on. And actually, Brother Gigi has called in to the show. Thanks for calling in, Gigi. I figured you'd want to chime in with the artificial intelligence thing.
Indubitably.
So what did you want to share with us about that?
Well, for one, I do agree, I very much agree that there's people really, I don't even want to say they're not taking it seriously enough, but they really don't realize what sort of creek we're up here with all this stuff and how it's being implemented and how all across the board it's being implemented. And, because we actually did a show quite a while back, last year, probably about 6 months ago, all about this stuff. And I told my whole story of my involvement with a corporation that was developing artificial intelligence this is back in like 2010, 2011. And at the time, one thing which I'll never tell that whole story again, by the way. So if you guys do want to hear that, you got to go back in the archives. I think it was around August last year on this show. But, one thing that really kind of, really showed to me how serious Big Brother, if you will, was taking this. Just all, because the corporation we had 2 of the original guys that it was about a group of 4 people that really developed what artificial intelligence is or what it became. And 2 of those original guys were with us. And the whole point of our corporation, they realized pretty quickly how serious this stuff could get if it gets into the wrong hands. And we had essentially Viacom, basically, and individuals within Viacom were playing some really dirty, underhanded tricks, trying to get a hold of this technology, which we were trying everything in our power to keep it out of their hands. And I mean, some serious corruption at its deepest and darkest going on, trying to get this stuff out of our hands. And there was basically, first they tried to buy us in, then they tried to buy us out,
then they tried, and they were offering a lot of money. And then at one point, just offering to pay us to just stop until they could catch up or basically figure out a way to steal it from us. And it got really scary, and I actually moved out of Los Angeles due to all of this. But just to see the lengths that these guys were going to, they were, there's no way that it was not going to get into the wrong hands. And if the only way would literally be over Viacom's dead bodies, basically. And it gets really scary. I mean, even at the time, they had it down to where, an AI computer, it would literally be able to predict to about a 99% accuracy what you were going to eat for dinner that night and what you were going to watch on TV, like 24 hours in advance. Like, no problem at all. And just the implications of that right there is, it gets pretty sketchy. And then now you're seeing it, cookies on the internet, for example. If it's not fully replaced yet, we're not even going to need cookies anymore because it's going to be AI on there.
They're tracking you with a pixel. Just about every website is now, too. Just one single pixel.
And, it's interesting that, Wayne, you brought up the blockchain technology and how that's essentially just, that's AI right there. And if you're feeding into the blockchain, you're feeding into AI, because just the other day I noticed that, dealing on some of these markets, these exchanges, specifically coins that are run off blockchain, I started to notice just the other day that there's clearly some AI bots in here. I just noticed that signature just kind of stood out. And but I was wondering if you could elaborate on exactly, because I don't know if I fully understand what blockchain technology really is, and how exactly is that feeding into the AI?
Well, let me just tell you something that might blow your mind a little. I've seen some researchers and have some reason to believe that blockchain and Bitcoin, in turn, were actually invented by artificial intelligence. Nobody knows who invented it, and what it does is it basically it's trying to convert our whole money system over to digital currency, and in so doing, it's feeding itself off of the humans. When it comes down to it, I'm not exactly familiar with how it all works, like on a technical level, as far as the blockchain goes. But I do know that every time you do a transaction with blockchain, it feeds the computer. So,
wow.
Like I said, I don't know exactly how this works from a technical aspect, but yeah, this is what I believe is going on with that.
Huh. Pretty interesting stuff, man. We were actually going to have a network meeting about this stuff this week. A little bit more synchronicity, I think. So are you saying that, and I think I'm understanding what you're saying. Are you saying that the cryptocurrency is a bad thing? Is that your view about it?
What I'm saying is basically it's just another control system. It's basically, this is your design to take all the world's currency and combine it together into one digital currency. So this is your one world currency coming up right there.
Well, now, are we talking, is it just with because some cryptocurrencies don't run on the blockchain, but, a lot of the popular ones like Bitcoin do. Now, are the ones that don't use blockchain, are they just as much of a threat, would you say, as the ones that are?
Honestly, I haven't done as much research on the ones that are not blockchain related. I would think that they would probably start to slowly disappear or become kind of incorporated into the blockchain currencies. I think that when it all comes down to it in the end, they're all going to run on blockchain.
Yeah, that's the way it seems to be going. It is. Now, okay, another question while I'm on here is, you brought up the quantum eraser effect, and I'm wondering if, think there's a pretty macro example of this, but I want to make sure that I'm on the right track here. They have these, like Greg Braden did some presentations where he shows how they're using these. I don't know what the right term is. Essentially, these consciousness readers. I guess you can say that they have these things installed all over the world on all the different continents. And for example, you'll probably know what I'm talking about after I say the example, but it's when, back when 9/11 happened, right? They have these, graphs of, I'm not sure if these things are detecting people's vibes or frequencies somehow, but essentially it's a graph that shows, like when something big happens, like, a president is elected or a war starts, this chart shoots way up because everybody's emotions are going out of whack. People are getting really serious about everything. People are getting proactive about stuff. So now when 9/11 happened, obviously, the charts are shooting up, people's frequencies are shooting up and people are getting hyped up. But the interesting thing is that the graph actually started to go up about 36 hours before the event actually happened. So worldwide, people were feeling the emotional effects of what hadn't even happened yet. Is that a macro example of this quantum eraser effect?
Definitely could be. I mean, I don't see a reason why, that's not a possibility. Definitely that kind of stuff plays into it. And once again, this ties back to that principle of rhythm we talked about with the alchemical of things. The timing. Maybe this was just the time. This is why they did this on 9/11, because they knew that there was going to be a shift in consciousness at that point. And maybe that's why they planned it the way that they did. And it happened the way that it did. So, who knows? Maybe it's one of those things.
Yeah, interesting.
It's all mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me, some of it, to be honest with you. I get the simple stuff. But when we get into quantum stuff and blockchains and reverse cause and effect, I'll be honest with you folks, Wayne, Gigi, I'm a little bit intimidated. I don't claim to be a super intelligent man, but once it gets to the point to where I see the trends in this stuff, and that's enough. That's enough to get you worried about it. But when you start getting into the tech, if you don't understand it and you don't research, you're just going to get blindsided by all this stuff. I feel like we're almost to have no choice. Like it's going to happen no matter what,
If the elites have their way, it is going to happen. So it's
and
stuff.
I think, that's what a lot of people. I think that's why, it's part of the reason why we're not seeing enough people up in arms, if you will, about all this stuff. People just assume that, no matter what I do, this technology is going to evolve anyway. Yeah, so what's the point of even fussing about it?
I'm starting to feel that way, to be honest with you, Gigi, because the more I talk about it, it's not sensational radio, but it is truth radio. So it's not sensational radio. We're not talking about space or intergalactic beings. But what we're talking about is a real threat.
Oh, yeah. The more, even there's that example with Michael Hastings, right? With all these new smart cars coming out. I don't know if you remember the Michael Hastings case, but he was this journalist out in Los Angeles. He basically got, he reported on some stuff that, the mainstream corporate funding didn't want him reporting on, having to do with military and it's going on behind the scenes in the Middle East and whatnot. And, this guy was saying, he felt that his life was in danger. And he specifically said a couple of days before his death, like, if you guys find me dead, like, I want you to know that I did not kill myself. And sure enough, a couple of days later, his car, they hacked his car, basically. And with everything getting, and this is a real possibility, and computer scientists are saying, like, it is very credibly possible to easily to hack cars like that. With everything getting more and more automated with your your phones, and then like somebody was saying in chat earlier, Facebook is always trying to get your facial recognition. If you've accepted, if you have the Bank of America app on your phone, boom, you've got, pretty much any app, you're giving away your rights to facial recognition, recording of your voice, and then with all these, they've got technology now where they can make a video of you and make you look like you're talking and put words into your mouth in your voice in the video, and like literally create a video of you that looks real as day, having you say whatever they want you to say when that actually never took place. And then you combine that and dip that in some artificial intelligence sauce. This could really go downhill very quickly. And not to sound all gloom and doom, but that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. What was you saying earlier, Wayne? I know you were trying to say something when I said that, I do feel like there's nothing I can do about this stuff,
What I was going to say is that's all part of the social engineering aspect of it. They want you to feel that way so that you don't act. And I say it's important to act on this stuff.
So what do you think we should do? What is something that we can do as a community to start? Maybe besides just raising. Everybody always says raise awareness. That's the first step, but then what?
I think one of the big things that we have to talk about is the new 5G network that's coming, because this plays a huge role in all of this, in the rollout of all this. So if you actually stand up and speak out about the 5G that's coming and try and get your local Congress people or whoever to not go along with it and not allow it to happen in your area, that could make a huge effect.
Why do you say that? What? Just because it's higher tech? Is that it?
Well, 5G is integral to what the plan is. So if you want me to go ahead and talk a little more about what the plan is. Okay. Yeah. Essentially, what's been going on now covertly is we're being covertly implanted with nanotechnology. And with this nanotech, there's a lot of things that come out. I'm sure you've heard of Morgellons disease.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Morgellons?
Oh, yeah.
This is a byproduct of the nanotech we're being implanted with. Now, in order for them to fully activate this nanotech, they need something more powerful than the network that's in place. They need these, frequencies to activate this stuff. And I'm not just saying this. This is stuff. There's a lot of literature out there. In my book, I cite sources from PubMed and various other really credible outlets with a lot of these technologies. They talk about magnetizing nanoparticles in your body in order to form networks in your body and achieve certain goals with them.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I speculate they're doing is that neural lace we were talking about earlier. I have reason to believe that they're going to use nanoparticles to assemble this neural lace around your brain and access your brain electrically to the internet and be able to upload your consciousness to the cloud. And that's all part of the plan. And it ties into the transhuman aspect of things. And they have these delivery systems already in place, and people are totally unaware of them.
You heard about that before, Gigi? What he's talking about? The neural lace,
I've
is that what you called it?
A lot of people were talking about that.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about that at the Conscious Life Expo. Actually, that came up multiple times in conversation.
Man, I wonder if the implants that people are talking about, like, Whitley Strieber talks about implants. They got that, and this is just a question here. They got that thing on Netflix about implants. That one doctor says they move when they tried to, they actually move to where it would harm the person if they tried to remove it. Do you think that possibly these implants that they're finding have anything to do with this nanotechnology maybe? Wayne?
I believe that that's early attempts at the nanotech, and they've gotten way more sophisticated with it. And I really sincerely believe that this is the direction they're going, and the delivery systems they're using are insidious for this. The materials necessary to make these nanobots have been found in chemtrail debris, and I believe that's one of the key delivery systems they're using right now to get this into our bodies. And like I said, I cite sources and stuff in my book that are peer-reviewed scientific journals and stuff like that talk about how this stuff works. So it's not something that's beyond the realm of possibility. I mean, if you look at respiratory illnesses are way up, all sorts of inflammatory diseases are way up. There's all kinds of
migraines too. They're saying in the chat
bloodstream.
room. Yeah, a lot of people are having bad migraines. You hear about that a lot too.
Definitely, all these autoimmune disorders. This is all part and parcel to this too. And another one of the delivery systems they're using that people will get really upset about is vaccines. And people don't want to talk about this. They try and shut you down when you talk about it. But this is also, I mean, they rarely admit to using engineered viruses in these vaccines. I mean, these are totally artificial things that they're putting in these that they readily admit to. And there's all kinds of other stuff that goes in there that they don't like you to talk about either.
Well, we only got a few minutes left here, Wayne. Gigi, thanks for calling in and sharing that with us. And Gigi's right. If you want to hear his entire story about what happened with him as far as his artificial intelligence and the hell that he went through trying to escape that reality, that's in the archives. All you got to do is look up Gigi and just Shift Happens or artificial intelligence. It's in there. But, yeah, thanks for calling in, Gigi. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You all have a good one.
You too, man. All right. So how can we, everybody can get your book on Amazon, right? You don't really have not a website up or anything. Like I said, I mean, you don't seem like the kind of guy that's just out trying to sell books, but it's on Amazon and you guys can go grab it now. Are you planning on building a blog or a website around it or anything?
Basically, right now, I have a couple different outlets you could reach me at. I'm available at Alchemical Tech Revolution at gmail.com. I have a YouTube channel called Alchemical Tech Revolution you could look up. And I also have a Facebook page called Files from the Conspiratorium that is probably where I put out most material on. And I do have the book available. You could order it through Amazon. It's available at Barnes & Noble or any other fine book retailers. So it's also available as a Kindle download, too.
Cool. Well, we'll have to actually, before I let you go, I made a prediction earlier in the show. I want to see, just to see if you're right. Not going to hold you to it or anything, but what is your next biggest prediction coming around the corner as far as tech goes that you think we need to watch out for?
What we need to watch out for is the artificial intelligence network. The computers are, beginning to take over basically everything.
The beginning of the brain.
It really is. And like Elon Musk talks about, he says that the only way for us to stay ahead of it or stay on top of it is to merge with it. And that's what their plan is. That's why the push for this whole transhuman thing. And that's what it is. They want to merge with the artificial intelligence and become God. So when it's all comes down to it and it's all said and done, what they plan on is for just one being to be left at the end of it all. It'll be the merged consciousnesses of all people combined into this artificial intelligence, and it'll become just one sentient being at the end. And I have reason to believe that this being's name will be Lucifer.
Ooh, there you go, folks. Thanks, Wayne, for coming on the show, man. It's been awesome. Great conversation.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
No problem, brother. All right, guys, we got to get out of here. That's it. Don't forget, I'll be with Spaced Out Saturday this weekend with Jason Lindgren. And next week, I'm going to go ahead and let you know Frater Akkad's going to be joining us from Magical Egypt as well. So, yeah, we'll catch you this weekend, guys. Don't forget, the show is broadcasted and produced by me and the Fringe FM and cannot be syndicated or rebroadcast without written permission. Music was by Kevin MacLeod, Chronux, and Spaceboy at spaceboymusic.com. See you guys Saturday.